your host with the most of the time here in sunny side Dubai. Well, actually, it's not sunny, it is evening, but it's sunny somewhere around the world. And today I have my good buddy from Bitcoin.com. He's not a random guy on YouTube. He is Corbin Fraser, maple syrup sucker or something, Twitter handle. I keep forgetting. But anyways, Corbin, please introduce yourself.
Happy to. My name's Corbin Fraser. I'm the head of financial services at Bitcoin.com. So basically responsible for the product side of Bitcoin.com, which includes our non-custodial wallet app, which has 35 million wallets. It's multi-chain, so it supports Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Avalanche, and just over the last 24 hours, we just launched Polygon. So we've got ERC20 support. We're really committed to the whole multi-chain vision of crypto. Within my department as well, there's the buy, sell, swap. We also just recently launched our Verse DEX on Ethereum, and we're in the middle of our public token sale over at getverse.com. Verse is going to be the reward utility token for the entire Bitcoin.com ecosystem. So that's kind of why we're touring around. I'm currently here in London, in beautiful, sunny, knock on, it's rainy, it's miserable, but we're here in London for Token 2049, and our CEO is going to be presenting on the DeFi onboarding crisis and how we're planning on solving that at Bitcoin.com. And we're just here meeting folks from the wider Web3 crypto community, looking for partnerships, opportunities, and just promoting our token sale. So
nice. Yeah. Hey, first of all, thanks for sharing a little insight about yourself and also about what you guys are working on. And definitely excited about, the Verse DEX and your Verse token as well. So definitely want to talk a little bit, about that. But before we get into all that stuff, Corbin, we know you're the head of financial services. You're the maple syrup guy on Twitter. But who are you? Where did you come from? Tell us your journey, how you got into this wild space of crypto.
I guess we zoom out. So I got in back in 2013, 2014. I wasn't like a big time investor. I wasn't one of those like genius giga brains who threw in sold his house and put everything into crypto. But I did start dabbling in it in 2013, 2014. The first Bitcoin I received was actually through Reddit. There was a tipping platform at the time. I believe it was called Change Tip. It's since retired, but it's basically it was like one of the early, I guess you'd call it a dApp nowadays, but it was just like this, hosted wallet solution that allowed users on Reddit to tip each other in Bitcoin when they said something clever or funny. And I must have said something funny once upon a time and managed to score a little bit of Bitcoin. And it was like the first moment, it was like that, what the hell just happened? Someone just gave me money for something stupid I said. And, it just kind of sends you down that rabbit hole of, okay, wait. So they just sent me money without permission. There was no bank involved, totally no KYC, it's anonymous. This is pretty cool stuff. So I started reading more and more about it. And at the time I was actually running my own business out of Canada. I'm originally from Canada. I'm from the middle of nowhere, Canada.
I'm so sorry to hear that, man. So sorry.
Yeah, it's not like one of the cool trendy places, everyone's we got buddies at Bitcoin.com from Canada too, but they're all from more well-known places like Toronto. I'm from Saskatchewan.
Vancouver,
nobody can pronounce Saskatchewan. So it's like the flatlands. It's north of North Dakota, if you even know where North Dakota is. So it's flatlands, farmlands. It's not like the most trendiest, coolest place, but it's home. It's beautiful and flat and cold and long winters. But when I was in Canada running my own company, I was running a small little web agency with me and a few other developers, and we were basically doing contract work for small to medium-sized businesses, some government, some municipalities and things like that, and just kind of providing web design, web development services. And we were kind of doing that, and that was kind of I'd say during that period, that was when I was really learning more about Bitcoin, and I started, being the first, within our group to be we should probably start accepting crypto. Maybe there's something to this. Maybe we can pick up some clients. there's something cool happening. And then also just during that time, I got to feel the, I don't know, I got to feel the pain of, say, being a small business owner, where, suddenly you kind of realize, okay, you're paying your income taxes, then you're paying your business corporate taxes, and then, if you happen to get audited like we did once, and you just happen to check the wrong box, suddenly it's like, oh, we're gonna go back 7 years, and you owe penalties, and you owe some other stuff. And for us, we were, it was kind of like also a bit of my, I guess, because I went from being like a bit of a Bernie bro, bit of a lefty, to kind of being like hardcore libertarian pretty quickly. And like running a business, it's like the ultimate, like, man, there's like no better red pill than just run a business, pay taxes, and then at some point you're going to be like, wait, this is incredibly unfair.
Yeah.
So for us, it was like, we were a web development.
Yeah.
So what we were filing as our taxes was that we were contractors. So we were, under the tax law of Saskatchewan, we're doing contractor work, which is taxed at like, I can't remember, 5% or something like that. But then somewhere in the tax code of Saskatchewan, I guess, farmland Saskatchewan didn't really update their codes that often, but somehow or another, when we got audited, they decided to file our business and all of our income that we generated as PC hardware repair. So somehow software development becomes PC hardware repair, and we're taxed at a higher rate, which meant we had to go back in time for all of our invoices, pay penalties. Nearly ruined our business overnight. Like, we went from being like, okay, we're in a pretty good position, to, we don't have enough money to pay this tax bill. The government's going to shut us down. This is incredibly unfair. And all over, like, nobody's telling us you got to be a PC hardware repair thing if you're a software developer, and like, just these little things that like a government, some jerk in a government said, yeah, software is PC hardware repair, so it's taxed at this rate. It's not contractor, even though technically they're just on contract, even though technically it's temporary work for like, no, they weren't having it. So, there was a lot of back penalties and, negotiating with the government, which is one of the other funny things you start realizing, is that it's all just a silly game. You pay some accountant who then, busts out the relationships with the tax authorities, who maybe they already know some people there, and they say, like,
right,
okay, well, here's the thing, the first time offenders, young guys, you're going to wreck their business here. So how about we settle? How about we compromise? How about you don't totally wreck their business, and they'll pay a certain amount? What's a comfortable amount they can afford to pay? And it becomes this like kind of silly, a little bit of a silly like handshake agreement, where you're dealing with thugs. You're dealing with a criminal enterprise who's just like, they got a gun to your head. They can lock you up and say, hey, we don't like what you're doing. We're going to shut down your business. We're going to send you to jail for some back taxes, or we're going to, ruin your life, ruin all the work that you've created. And so I very quickly went from being like this kind of Bernie bro, lefty, kind of left of center. I wouldn't even say I was like hardcore left. I was just like,
okay,
people matter, which I still believe in most of the time. But, I think like, I think it was just kind of that big wake up call for me. And then I think crypto was kind of that natural progression as well, with like Bitcoin being this thing that, the government can't take. They can't seize that. Even if, they can put a gun to your head and, but in theory, you got those 12 words in your brain. You don't have to reveal anything. You can say, okay, you could do your time and come out with your Bitcoin if you really wanted to take that stance. I wouldn't really recommend it, but it's technically possible.
This is not illegal advice, folks.
Yeah. So, for me, it was kind of like this, it kind of happened all around the same time, where I was just starting to kind of like wake up to the fact that the government doesn't care about you. They don't care about businesses. They care about, they're just a big amoeba of people that grow, and their only reason for being is to just grow under the guise of, we're here to help. and they're not there to help. They're there to govern. They're there to
Yeah,
rule.
I heard that saying, Corbin. I remember, was it Ronald Reagan? I know, of all the people. Something about if any,
Yeah.
if any hear the words, I'm here to help from the government.
Run
Not a
that way.
good thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't end well.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that was kind of my Bitcoin wake up story, where it was just like
Wow.
tied to Reddit, tied to this weird audit, tied to this like, man, what's going on? So yeah, I kind of went further and further down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. And then, it's just, at some point I ended up moving out to Tokyo, just kind of needed to change the scenery, Canada and the flatlands of Canada just wasn't doing it for me. So I said, I'm still young. I'll go check out Tokyo, see what that's about. Worked remotely from there for a little while. And then, at the time I was creating a transaction visualizer with, my buddy, Paul, who's now also at Bitcoin.com.
All right.
And we were trying to visualize the transaction throughput of BTC versus BCH. It was a project called TX Highway. It's no longer up, but it was kind of a cool little like visualization tool back in like 2017, 2018. And at some point, Roger had seen it through some friends that I'd made through the Bitcoin meetup in Tokyo. And then Roger reached out and said, "Hey, I heard you're in Tokyo. Come visit the office." And he basically said like, "All right, well, I want to start tomorrow." It was like, man, I got a business. I got to figure this out. But I mean, I want to say no to Raja. It sounds like kind of a cool opportunity. And so I took a backseat position at my company, the one that I started, and kind of said, "You guys got this. I'm going to go try this out for a while. If it doesn't work out, I can always come back." And I've been now at Bitcoin.com for 5 years. I started off as an engineer there. Grew into product management, group product manager shortly after, and then ended up as a department head now. So been kind of a fun, I guess it's 5 years now at Bitcoin.com. So been a rodeo, but bull and bear, it's kind of just always something exciting going on,
Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. And thank you for sharing, like, I actually didn't know that you had your own business back in middle Canada.
I would encourage everyone who has an opportunity do the business thing. I think the university college thing, I did my 2.5 year stint there. It was just a small little college program on the East Coast of Canada, but it was like, it was enough for me to realize it's all bullshit. College side of stuff, it's just its own weird little corporation that's built off of the back of like government loans, at least in Canada. I'm sure it's similar.
Same thing. I think. You mostly United States too. I mean, I live in 10 years in the States, so the reason I went to States was not to pursue my studies. I was trying to run track and field, but I did learn some things pretty fast. How colleges or universities work. Student loans. I mean, that's crazy. Like you can't file for bankruptcy. So
it's a weird world, man. It's a tricky one. But I didn't realize you were a track and field guy. What was your sport of choice?
I was running track and field, 800 and 1500, but I also ran cross country, but I really hated it. Especially like in the fall season, it's cold and rainy, and I'm a brown guy. I mean, we're not genetically designed for that stuff, man. Like I'm a hot weather guy, man. Like, I need sunshine. I'm like Captain Planet, sun rays,
just photosynthesize, get all that power,
all that jazz. So,
totally.
But man, it was a fun experience. But man, muscle tears, shin splints. I was done. So the next choice was to just pursue my master's and work in the nightclub scene. So
nice.
Just basically bartending and stuff. And I mean, I was sort of living that American dream in West Texas. So it was fun.
That's awesome.
But somehow I have some friends who are libertarians and caps and
was it that Texas lifestyle that kind of like introduced you to more of those ideas, or were you already kind of libertarian minded, let's say?
That's a good question. I would say when I was a sophomore, when I started learning about the history of money, actually this Costa Rican friend of mine, Mario Gale, I actually interviewed him for my personal podcast. It actually is because of him. He showed me the Zeitgeist movie.
Yeah, I
Talked
remember
about the Federal
those.
Reserve, but other religious stuff, I didn't really connect well to it. I thought it was kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
But I mean, behind the scenes, all that stuff. But as far as when I started learning about Robert Kiyosaki, he talked about, the quadrants, and also Dr. Ron Paul. He was, to me, in many ways, a personal hero,
Mm-hmm.
actually. Like learning about gold, learning about Federal Reserve, and
Totally.
that's when I started learning the ideals of liberty and freedom.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of funny because I'm an Indian citizen living in America, and I was crazy about liberty. I was, I was the crazy guy with end of Federal Reserve, placard, like
That's
placard
awesome,
or
man.
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not. It really made an impression on me, and I was even though I learned about Bitcoin, maybe 2010,
Yeah.
2011. I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
Adam Kokesh, if you
Yeah,
man,
of
most of them.
course.
Now people know about it, but it was funny. I was following it, but I was more like a gold and silver guy.
Yep.
So if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So yeah, that's so that's somehow learned about Roger Ver later on through some other
Yep.
people, and his uh, his run in California.
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
Yeah, he's. I mean, talk about someone who's got an interesting backstory in crypto. I've, yeah, the amount of like little anecdotes and stories that we've heard from Roger in the office that a lot of stuff that he hasn't even shared publicly. It's just like that guy at some point needs to write a book and probably needs to
true.
get his full story out there because there's like there's layers upon layers of like
Agreed.
interesting like um little key area. Like he's just been so tied in and so like tapped into like what was happening, I think in kind of like that libertarian zeitgeist, but also in like the crypto and the Bitcoin kind of
Yeah.
creation story in many ways too. Like maybe
No,
not early
true.
creation story Satoshi level, but like the corporatization of it and kind of
Yeah.
beginning to take it a little bit more serious than just internet nerd money, which it's still part of the fun, but like I think
Right. Yeah.
the had it not been for someone like Roger, a lot of the
I agree.
projects, Coinbase, blockchain.com, Kraken, a lot of these big BitPay, a lot of these big
Yeah.
companies that
Oh,
have
Post.io.
yeah, exactly. A
Yeah, I
lot of
remember
them,
that. Yeah.
have guys like Roger to thank. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I like about your story, especially, but also Robert too, is similar because you guys started your own businesses. And I think what I liked about Bitcoin, the idea of peer-to-peer electronic cash for the
Mhm.
world, is how we could do business with each other, not just within small town USA,
Yep.
but hey, you're in London, you could, do business with me here in Dubai, and
Yeah.
you through crypto. And I mean, to me, that is
I think that's one of the
amazing.
most powerful things that Bitcoin and crypto in general can do is like unlocking the ability for the democratization of business and of just being able to do business with people from anywhere around the world without the permission of anyone. You don't need to like
Yeah,
it's a pain in the ass starting a business. It's not
yeah,
like you kind of have to be a little bit brave or stupid or both to kind of do it because there's
yeah,
a lot of you start a business in the wrong country or the wrong state. Those like little things that you don't you would think in like a perfect world you could start a business anywhere and succeed.
yeah,
But the fact is, if you aren't careful in where you commence that business, where or how you file, if you don't tick the right box on the form, you can end up going in and paying some pretty nasty back taxes and penalties. Or if you aren't choosing the right, say, region that has the best, say, corporate taxes or the best personal income taxes, and I think we're seeing this become more topical. I think previously, like 10 years ago, people weren't really, I mean, maybe the hardcore, libertarians were always maybe more mindful over like where they're starting businesses and where they're living, where they're residing.
yeah.
But I think
Right.
now with crypto, it's become even more topical, with big companies like Binance and and others moving to places like Dubai, where it's like,
Yeah.
you've got places like Dubai saying, hey, come move here. We want you here. We want crypto
Yeah.
companies here. Here's a clear outline for, how we'll be taxing these things. Here's how personal income taxes are taxed. Here's how corporate income taxes are taxed. And it's a favorable rate for businesses to say, let's open up shop here. This is where we're going to hang a tile and operate out of. And, whereas, you operate out of, I don't know, say Saskatchewan, Canada, or you have to go to Ontario, even worse. It's like double the taxes there. You start a company in Toronto. Good luck.
Like a
little small business there. You're getting hit with that 50. It's probably even more now. It's probably like 16, something like that. HST. So it's just like, those little things that you kind of got to be wary of when you are starting a business. But I think it is the fastest education you'll get. Just get into business, start doing something where you're actually making money, where you're actually, trying to better yourself and hone in those skills and sharpen that knife, be it through like sales or development or building a product or whatever it is. It's just that education you get from starting a business is going to be like a 10x. It's like a speed run through education versus go in and do your master's, go back to school, come back for a doctorate, figure it all out, pay through the nose. Maybe you get a good professor who takes an interest in you and you actually come out knowing a fair amount. But then you haven't cut your teeth. You're kind of like, you're green in the tooth, and you end up coming out of university with like these practical, or like, let's say these knowledgeable skills, but no practical skills, where you go like, you understand the idea of selling, but you've never actually sold a damn thing. You've never, you understand the idea of how to start a business, but you've never actually done it. And, gobbled up that, metaphorical shit sandwich that you're going to have to eat at some point from like, from be it like a bad client or a government audit or, just dealing with, ridiculous paperwork that's like, this is just corporate bureaucracy, but I got to do it. It is what it is.
True words, man. True words. Look, I think a lot of people will really absolutely relate to what you're saying. But I'll give an example. Like my fiance. I mean, she's American, so I mean, she had her own she was self-employed. Did her own little thing. But man, the paperwork. I mean, just for my audience, and most of them are not American, so most people really don't know that as an American, you're taxed globally. So you have to report your taxes and all that stuff. So, I mean, there are ways to lower your taxes and all that stuff, but it's just tedious, So if you have your own company, if you have a team behind you, sure. I mean, you could do it. I mean, you could take advantage of it, but as a single sole person, oh my goodness. And in case if I'm officially getting married to her, now that's the whole thing complicated where like I have to pay taxes to the US government even though I'm not an American citizen. I'm like, wait, what? Wait a minute, this is a bad deal. So you could, I mean, it's kind of crazy, but sorry, please go ahead.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like it's all a game. Like you at some point have to learn to play the game where it's like, okay, the government's they've got the biggest army. They've got the monopoly of violence to say, we're going to come in at you and tax whatever the heck we think, we can get out of you. We're going to squeeze every drop out of you, but it's your job then as a business owner or a sole proprietor to do your own, education. You got to do your own research, as they say in crypto, and figure out what those allowances are to reduce your tax bill and reduce your net income so that you aren't getting totally fleeced by these folks. So like, it's the first year of starting a business for most folks is just like, all right, how much did I make? Okay, work with an accountant and just pay it off. Usually by the second year, people are like, oh, okay, I got to figure out this expense thing. I got to figure out how to play with the expenses to make sure that I'm bringing down, I want my company to show it's making money, but not too much money, and then you start realizing, okay, well, the government lets you write off a percentage of your workspace if you're working from home. So that might be, in some regions it's like 15% or 20%. So they basically say, okay, you can write off a corner of your house as an expense. So that can bring down your, you can start playing with the numbers a little bit to kind of bring down that tax bill. And of course, like you've got to work with your local accountants who know all the rules, and you don't want to go too far where they've got a good reason to say, like, well, okay, the average business owner in this region's only claiming this, and this guy's coming in, he's got a fleet of cars. Oh, he just bought a Maserati, and he's saying that's an expense. I don't know about that. We're not stupid. So you got to, when you're playing the game, you're living within reason. You're trying not to do stupid stuff, but taking advantage of whatever the rules are, and you're playing the game with them. They're saying, here's the allowances that will allow you, and you got to go through and get, if they're trying to squeeze every blood or squeeze every drop out of you, you got to do the same for them. You got to squeeze everything back, otherwise you just end up taking it. And by the end of it, you're like, where did all my money go? By the end of the year, I should have this much money, but now all of a sudden I've got this much, and it's way less than what I thought. So you kind of end up learning pretty quickly that you gotta play the game in order to not get beat.
Yeah, true. I mean, unfortunately, it's not a play to earn kind of game. You get tokens out of it and stuff. This is a bad deal. So I think that's why I actually like crypto. At least there is something creative and fun, out there. So who knows? Maybe the IRS or the U.S. government might come up with a tax to earn, play to tax, play to pay. I mean, wait a minute, what? I don't know.
If they can figure that out, I'd be chuckling. I think I think the CBDC model is probably going to be a lot of that, where it's just like, oh, hey, our little recipe says your money's just going to disintegrate if you don't consume. So I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I just had that conversation with somebody else about CBDCs. Told them I'm not in favor of it, just because it's just really programmable money. So I don't know if you're aware of Project Hamilton.
I'm not. No.
Project Hamilton is the American CBDC.
Oh, okay.
So if you're familiar, I'm sure if you might know Hotep Jesus or Ciprian Vin Armani, they did talk about it.
Yep.
Amari Sachet, I mean, I'm sure you know him. He's with now eCash now.
Yep.
He did a presentation about Project Hamilton, which is a CBDC, and Project Aurum, which is another version of CBDC. So let me put it in simple terms that it's a monstrosity, and they could basically take taxes out of it and not reveal so much of information to protect your privacy. So they use a lot of libertarian free market rhetoric.
We want all the benefits of being able to spy on you, but you don't get to spy on us. And we're going to take your money at will whenever we feel like it, because we are the issuers. We can do whatever the heck we want. You don't like it? Well, don't use it, or you're forced to use it, and you'll go to jail if you don't. So it's like, I mean, I'm not too bullish on CBDCs as like I mean, you can maybe make some, some argument that maybe it'll prepare some people to be like, oh, okay, so it's like blockchain. I guess why don't I just use Bitcoin or crypto or some other thing? But I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think CBDCs in general are just a terrible idea. I think when you see folks at Davos and World Economic Forum being like, oh, we're really excited about CBDCs and the opportunity we have to take people's money without their permission. We're really excited about that. It's like,
but come on, Corbin. I mean, you will own nothing and you'll be happy. I mean,
just eat the bugs,
why
Marcos.
against that?
Eat the bugs.
Eat the bugs? Nah, come on. I mean, dude, I mean, we all are reptilians, right? I guess,
That's it. That's it.
No, but I don't know, it is interesting to see these kind of developments take place. But I'm also, I mean, that's the I guess the negative side of using blockchain, or I know whether CBDC is sort of based on blockchain. That's a lot of argument to it. But what I'm really excited about is there's a lot of other crypto and blockchain solutions out there, that can really revolutionize the internet, information, and money. And I think there's a lot of possible developments. So whether you talk about, I don't know, say play to earn or NFTs or even new DEXs, I would say. So, but speaking about new products and stuff, so I want to kind of go back to Bitcoin.com and how it started and how you guys have been kind of leading the way in the early days, and now you guys are coming up with new products and a new roadmap. So kind of give us I know it's a broad statement, but
hey, no worries. Yeah,
take it away.
I can, if you're okay with me rambling, just feel free to interrupt if I go too hard. I'm on my fourth coffee trying to stay awake here. But
please go ahead.
Yes. So Bitcoin.com has been around since, well, I think as a company, it's been around since 2015. It started off as a media, news company. It was just primarily publishing news and articles and stuff like that around Bitcoin. But it was actually in 2017 when the Bitcoin.com wallet launched. It was originally a fork of the BitPay wallet. And we were, very, I guess, popular in 2017 as a result of us being one of the first supporters of Bitcoin Cash. So during the block size wars, or the scaling wars, as they like to call them,
I
don't know if we need to go into in this podcast because that's just beating a dead horse. But in those early days of 2017, let's say, I don't even know if they're early, but sure, there was this fork in Bitcoin, and we had Bitcoin Cash show up, and suddenly it was like, yeah, we'll support it. It adheres to this peer-to-peer cash thing, which for the most part, a lot of folks, still believe in as it's kind of one of the core utility things. It's got to be usable. So we started supporting Bitcoin Cash. And then back in 2020, between that period, we kind of grown out our team, grown out our engineering department, kind of leveled up our company a little bit more towards being a product focused company versus just a media company. So we had the product side, and then we had the media side, and we were kind of, taking our slow and steady kind of organic growth to get there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, in 2020, our team was able to launch the new native Bitcoin.com wallet. This was built from the ground up with our team. And basically this has been the bread and butter for Bitcoin.com since. So this was, in 2020, there was still not a lot of wallets out there focused on UI UX. And that was kind of one of the things we wanted to try to take a crack at, was let's keep things non-custodial, but let's make it so that, it's actually user friendly and people don't have to bang their head against the wall trying to sync wallets. If you've ever used there's still modern wallets out there now where it's you install the app and it's just wait 9 hours while it syncs. And it's
true.
Mom's not doing that. You're not onboarding anyone with a user experience like that. So that was kind of our big thing was let's make non-custodial wallets for moms. Let's keep this thing easy. We would joke in the office, nobody wants to be onboarding people and have to support them in the same way that, people in our generation are supporting our parents when it comes to installing a printer, It's Corbin, my printer's not working. What's going on? And it's oh God, I got to run through some troubleshooting steps with mom and dad. And we're we don't want to do that with crypto and Bitcoin and running your own node. And
exactly.
There's a lot of stuff that's for the hardcore crypto people, they of course can do that. It's great.
Yeah.
They should be encouraged to do that. There's a lot of great tools out there. But for the average, let's say retail consumer who's just hearing about Bitcoin for the first time on CNN or something, great. Just install the app, 1 or 2 taps, you're set. You can start buying, you can start sending, you can start swapping, you can start using it to purchase things online. And that was kind of our big goal, is just dumb this thing down so that we're not creating this user experience problem that, let's say PGP has had, that printers have had, that any external hardware that parents are, required to at some point touch. We just didn't want to create, friction, let's say. So then, we'd really focused on that from the ground up. We brought in some great product designers from various teams, but I'd say the big one was the O3 team that we had brought in. So some of the guys from the O3 wallet, which was a popular Neo wallet, joined the Bitcoin.com team back in 2018, 2019. And yeah, we really worked with their designers and engineers and our own internal designers and engineers as well to kind of build out this really easy to use non-custodial wallet. So we've been really building off of that ever since. About a year and a bit ago, we started working on the Ethereum side of stuff. We got Ethereum added into the wallet, ERC20 tokens, which then was kind of like the precursor to supporting more low-fee EVM chains. What we saw is like, the crypto space from DeFi summer of 2020 seemed to be gravitating towards like EVM chains, FTM, Avalanche, Polygon, BNB, and safe. They were taking like the smart contract model of EVM chains and the ability to build out these decentralized financial applications. It hits all the points that we, as Bitcoin OGs, let's say, we're still like, this is a fantastic use case of crypto. It's the ability to do decentralized trading without intermediaries. Fantastic. Is it fully 100% decentralized? No. There's still hosted clients. Sure. The websites side of stuff can still be, areas where there are still centralized touch points. But, it's a step in the right direction that we've all kind of wanted to see. And, we said that this is an opportunity. We're seeing a lot of activity here, and we started really just focusing on the EVM side of stuff for a little while, getting Wallet Connect integrated into our app. And then, we started looking at like the holistic, say, onboarding experience for crypto. And the big things we were looking at was like, we know that, there's a tremendous amount of swap volume that comes through the Bitcoin.com app. So, when users come in to download the wallet app, they might buy Bitcoin first, then they might try some Ethereum, or they might swap into stable coins. If the prices are doing something that, they like or don't like, they might say, okay, I'm going to move some into stables. And, all of that swap volume we were seeing go towards other third-party swap providers. And we said like, well, wouldn't it be great if some of that volume was going to our own DEX? And then, of course, that became like the big talk was like, well, we could easily do a DEX. And, why wouldn't we do a DEX? We've got a great brand. We've got a great team. Let's hire some more DeFi engineers and really build this little DeFi arm. And as we continue to do this, we're seeing a lot of excitement internally around this like idea of like, let's get a DEX out. This is what we need to do in order to like get Bitcoin.com to not just be focused on like the Bitcoin UTXO side, but also to kind of bridge that gap between the UTXO model, the EVM model, and maybe even some other models later, but trying to build out this better multi-chain ecosystem because we've got the wallets, we've got this huge acquisition funnel with obviously like the Bitcoin.com brand name. And we kind of said like, this is our opportunity to like do this right, make it user friendly. We can create a DeFi service within the wallet app where users are using the DEX, but may not even know that they're using the DEX. Kind of in the same way that like when you're using, I don't know, like your Gmail, you may not know you're interacting with like SMTP or POP3, but in like the OG email client days, a lot of times you'd be like, okay, I got to go to smtp.gmail.com. It's a terrible experience. So we wanted to kind of like, make sure that we can abstract away some of this stuff and keep it simple for users. So that even though maybe behind the scenes they're touching some areas on the DEX, for mom, they don't need to know. All they know is they hit slide to send or they hit slide to swap, and a different currency showed up. That's all that matters. Right. How it's done behind the scenes, that's nerd gigabrain stuff that we can kind of abstract away. That's kind of our focus. Of course, like the degenerates, of course, can still connect through Wallet Connect and through the app and do funding of LP, and this is where the big thing was like, well, it's time to do a token. Like we'd watched through 2017, 2018 as like, the ICO craze of that period was like booming. And there was some cool projects that came out of it. There was a lot of vapor. There was a lot of total BS. And, it was both great, but it was also terrible at the same time. Right? And we said like, just the legal uncertainty. There's not a big enough ecosystem for us to say we can reasonably do this to provide utility and reward on, immediately. And that was kind of like, if we were ever to do this, it's just maybe not the right time. So we got our ecosystem to a point where we've got 35 million wallets. We've got, a outstanding non-custodial wallet. We've now got our DEX built out and launched on 2 chains. We've got Smart BCH. We've got Ethereum. We're going to be adding more soon. We've got our media arm still. So Bitcoin.com news is still regularly in the top 10 crypto news sites. And, we've got this opportunity now where we can say we can begin we can do this token and provide instant utility with obviously like the Bitcoin.com brand name. And we kind of said like, this is our opportunity to like do this right, make it user friendly. We can create a DeFi service within the wallet app where users are using the DEX, but may not even know that they're using the DEX. Kind of in the same way that like when you're using, I don't know, like your Gmail, you may not know you're interacting with like SMTP or POP3. But in like the OG email client days, a lot of times you'd be like, okay, I got to go to smtp.gmail.com. It's a terrible experience. So we wanted to kind of like, make sure that we can abstract away some of this stuff and keep it simple for users so that even though maybe behind the scenes they're touching some areas on the DEX, for mom, they don't need to know. All they know is they hit slide to send or they hit slide to swap and a different currency showed up. That's all that matters. How it's done behind the scenes, that's nerd gigabrain stuff that we can kind of abstract away. That's one of our focus. Of course, like the degenerates, of course, can still connect through Wallet Connect and through the app and do funding of LP. And this is where the big thing was like, well, it's time to do a token. Like we'd watched through 2017, 2018 as like, the ICO craze of that period was like booming. And there was some cool projects that came out of it. There was a lot of vapor. There was a lot of total BS. And, it was both great, but it was also terrible at the same time. Right? And we said like, just the legal uncertainty. There's not a big enough ecosystem for us to say we can reasonably do this to provide utility and reward on, immediately. And that was kind of like, if we were ever to do this, it's just maybe not the right time. So we got our ecosystem to a point where we've got 35 million wallets. We've got, a outstanding non-custodial wallet. We've now got our DEX built out and launched on 2 chains. We've got Smart BCH. We've got Ethereum. We're going to be adding more soon. We've got our media arm still. So Bitcoin.com news is still regularly in the top 10 crypto news sites. And, we've got this opportunity now where we can say we can begin we can do this token and provide instant utility and reward across the ecosystem through accepting it as means of payment for media sales and advertising. We can use it for LP and LP farms, kind of in the same way that sushi or if you're familiar with sushi and sushi swap.
Yeah, sushi swap.
Can't speak sushi swap. And, we and then through this token sale platform that we're building out, this was also an opportunity where, we've got the DEX, we've got a non-custodial wallet, we've got swap in the wallet. If we were to provide our own launchpad service on the Bitcoin.com domain and offer the ability for third parties or projects that we can support through incubation of our ecosystem and development fund, which we recently announced.
I didn't know that. That's new.
So actually within the token allocation of the Verse token,
gotcha. Okay.
I think it's 34% is allocated to the ecosystem development or ecosystem grants, and then another 34 is set to development grants. So like we can use some of those funds to support incubation, support some hackathons, and we can do this now because we're a multi-chain wallet. We can support multi-chain hackathons. We can, if there's someone building something interesting on Avalanche, great, let's support it. If there's someone building something or doing a hackathon on Polygon, great, let's find a way to support it. And if there's a way where we can get those projects who have maybe they've got like that sprout of an idea, they've got that, they've got something, but they maybe haven't found a way yet to turn it into a product or a service or a revenue generating business. What we want to do is be able to offer some advisory, offer some mentorship to, these small hackathon projects and get them to a point where they're creating revenue, where they're a product, and
get them from 0 to 1.
Exactly. Sense, right? If we can support more projects getting from 0 to 1, and then get them to a point where they're like, okay, well, maybe now is our time to do a token. We've got the legal framework with Bitcoin.com. We've got marketing support. We've got a domain we can launch on. We've got 35 million wallets we could potentially tap into to offer the sale to. We've got a DEX listing. We've got wallet listings. We can get the word out.
Yeah.
And it does, we, like you and I know that Bitcoin.com is not an official source of Bitcoin truth. It's just we happen to own a very valuable domain name.
Right.
There is no single owner of Bitcoin, or there's no CEO of Bitcoin. There is a CEO, however, of Bitcoin.com, which is the company that owns that domain name. But there is this like perceived officiality, even though we know it's not official. Official. We kind of see this as like, who would you rather launch your token project? Bob's random launchpad DAO, .finance, or on Bitcoin.com. We would posit that the large majority of projects would probably prefer to launch on Bitcoin.com with the 35 million wallets, with the ecosystem. And in order to do that, they'll have to pay us inverse tokens in order to access the launchpad tools and support that would be required to get there. So we kind of see that a bit as a five.
Interesting.
We can invest into external projects. We can invest into hackathons and support new ideas. And then once they get to a point where they're ready to do a token, they can bring some verse back and spend it on the launchpad services that we'll have at Bitcoin.com and tap into our ecosystem of users. And we just want to make sure that we're there to kind of support growing out more products within the crypto space. And I think Verse is one of those tokens that can support that. We see it kind of like, not only do we see it as like this reward, which we're going to be baking into the Bitcoin.com card as well. So we're launching a prepaid debit card. We haven't made an official announcement on the partner, the banking partner, but that'll be announced very soon here. But nice. we're aiming to have that in US with any luck Q1 2023, and then expanding globally shortly after with any luck. And with that, it gives us the opportunity to start doing some like cashback rewards, where if users are spending regularly with their Bitcoin.com card, they'll be able to earn Verse rewards. We're also looking at doing some reward onboarding. So like when users come download the app for the first time, take the Bitcoin.com wallet for a spin, brand new, right? Let's say it's your mom or your grandma or I don't know, your cousin's mom. And she's going to say like, okay, I'm ready to do the Bitcoin. Let's do the Bitcoin, guys. And, first she's going to have to, maybe pass KYC in order to buy. In order to do that initial payment of Bitcoin, you're going to have to at some point do that, KYC. Yeah. So what we want to do is try to lead them further down that rabbit hole with carrots. So you pass KYC, you might earn, say, $1 in Verse. You do your first buy, you earn some cash back in Verse. So we can reduce some of the fees. You do your first swap from, say, Bitcoin into a stable coin, or Bitcoin into Ethereum, or Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash. Then we can say, great, you did your first swap. You earned another, say, $1 or $2 in Verse. Yeah, and we can kind of create this like
little gamification
of just like the onboarding journey to make it a little bit easier for ordinary folks. And then creating that repetition, like a lot of education is just about repeating tasks. So it's like, okay, if they've done a swap once,
good point.
Is that enough for them to be a regular, user who's going to try different currencies? Maybe once isn't enough. Maybe it's 2 times. Maybe it's 3. But once we've got this like reward mechanism in app and through the card, then we've kind of got this opportunity where users can begin earning Verse tokens and stick them aside. Either they can hold on to them, just like you would say air miles to potentially cash in later to say buy a T-shirt or buy a mug or support maybe funding of a launch pad, or support paying some banner advertising, or funding LP and doing some LP farming, or even unlocking, say, premium features, like a enhanced card. Maybe you want the metal card. You might want to pay a little extra in Verse tokens to access that. So we're kind of seeing it as like a multi-angled approach where we want Verse to be there to support the onboarding, but it's also there to support the utility around the LP and DEX farming and this launchpad flywheel that we're building out to support the ecosystem and the ecosystem growth. So, it's for us, it's kind of like the big next chapter of Bitcoin.com is like building out this sub brand, Bitcoin.com is a great brand.
Yeah.
It does have the name Bitcoin tied to it. And for a lot of folks in Web3 DeFi, they hear Bitcoin and they're like, what's that?
Yeah,
Sounds like a boomer coin to me. So like with Verse, it gives us this new brand.
Yeah.
We get an opportunity to like hang out at the NFT table and be like, what's up, guys? Hello, fellow kids, And
I remember that meme, right? I forgot the guy's name, the guy from On Air, the crazy guy.
We get to be Steve Buscemi.
Okay, there you go.
So, yeah. So I think with any luck, we'll be able to be able to kind of bring in some folks from the Web3 DeFi space and say like, listen, come check out the Bitcoin.com wallet. We've been making some big strides in terms of usability and user experience. And I think what we can do in DeFi is making it easier. Like MetaMask is great. I use it fairly regularly. But it's a nerd's tool. It's like you can't say, Mom, go try out MetaMask. You'll be fine.
Agreed.
She's gonna lose her bags. And she's gonna be mad at you. You're gonna get hit. So we don't want Mom to be hitting her kids. So that's she doesn't want to hit them, and you don't want to get hit. So we're just trying to make it all a little bit easier, and just make crypto easier, funner, and build out these like gamification hooks to kind of onboard more folks into the space.
But this really first of all, thank you for sharing all that information. Now I'm kind of get a really good picture, because how you're leveraging Bitcoin.com, but also trying to create a whole new ecosystem. And because I did looking through the white paper and stuff, so it just kind of dawned on me. You guys are planning to have a launch pad and stuff. So, but I was kind of curious about the name Verse. So why did you choose Verse? So, but I think you kind of partially answered that. But
I mean, for us, Verse was I think when we talk about Verse, we're often kind of alluding to the idea of a crypto verse. I think a lot of people kind of gut reaction when they hear Verse as metaverse, but for us, it's kind of like metaverse is not really. I mean, like we are doing NFTs. I should mention that. So I'm not saying like I'm a metaverse denier. Metaverses are cool. I mean, I'm not plugging in a VR headset though and like living in that world yet. But I think there's some cool stuff happening there. But I think for us, it's kind of this blend of the metaverse, the cryptoverse, and like this whole universe of opportunities that are happening. So Verse then just kind of becomes just a new brand that's easy to say, short and sweet. We jokingly were also giggling at the fact that it had VER in it, for Roger Ver.
Okay.
There was joking internal talk that maybe we should have the VER ticker, but we were like, it's maybe too on the nose.
Okay. Now it kind of dawned on me. Wow. Okay. That's funny. That's funny. That's cool. I like it.
But no. I mean, for us, it's like the Verse is just like it's an inclusive name that just doesn't really tie us to one camp or another. And I think firsthand what it's like. The coin politicization of crypto can be a little bit messy and a little bit hairy, and it's kind of like maybe not the most welcoming environment for new folks to walk into. Like, you walk into a party and everyone's beating each other up. It's kind of like, whoa, is this a party I want to hang out at, or should I maybe just go home?
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
We've been there, we've done that. Bitcoin.com was an active part, let's say, of the scaling wars. We don't shy away from that. But I would say that, like, we stand on what we kind of were saying, which was like, at the time, it was like, it's low fees. And low fees are important. It's probably the most important thing in crypto, in my opinion. Or we're not going to get to global adoption. I mean, it's fine right now in a bear market. Bitcoin fees are like maybe $1, maybe less than $1.
Not sure.
Ethereum fees are like maybe $1 or $2, maybe probably a few more than that. But like, you get into a bull market cycle, you get it, millions of users piling in using a chain, those fees are gonna rise up, and suddenly it's like that 10x user experience of like Bitcoin's low fee. It's crypto's low fee.
yeah.
It's better than MasterCard. When the fees are higher than MasterCard and Visa and bank fees and Western Union, we've all failed. So
Yeah, true.
for us, it's like, Bitcoin, we were big believers and remain, believers of what Bitcoin Cash, was trying to do and still tries to do with regards to peer-to-peer cash, low fees, decentralized, but utility first, right? But there's other coins now doing that. They have similar missions, they just happen to be using a different model. Maybe more like got Polygon, very low fees.
Yeah.
EVM, it doesn't have as much privacy as Bitcoin Cash with like the UTXO model, but you can add privacy with, different protocols and things like that. Avalanche, same thing. We're seeing like all of these, say, I don't know what you'd call them. They're like new L2s, but not, or new L1s. They're like L2s and L1s that are really focused on the low fee aspect. It's become important, and their communities realize that. And I think when for me, it's like we were right all along. Like low fees matter, and the proof is in the pudding. Every new L1 and L2 that's coming out is focused on throughput. They're focused on low fees. You can't build a global currency or a global network that is gonna, cost $5 to $10 to onboard new folks and get them, to move money around. It's just silly. So, I mean, I think it's great that Bitcoin's there as kind of this like, it's kind of like just like this heavy stone. It's like it's not going anywhere. It's gonna continue to be there. It's it's if it's the digital gold angle, great. That's fine too. It's a great. It's kind of a great control, right? When you look at all the experiments going on, you kind of need that control. And if Bitcoin's the control, that's fine. That's the control part of the experiment. Other cryptocurrencies are going to continue to experiment and tweak the formula and tweak the recipe and play with the fees and see what they can do with building out their own network effect. And I think it's great. It's like it's the free market at work. And for us, it's just like, the when it comes to Verse, it's like we support everything. We support Bitcoin. We support Bitcoin Cash. We support Ethereum. We support Avalanche. We support Polygon. We support more chains coming soon. And it's just, for us, it's like crypto infighting is silly. Building bridges, actually, like I ran into countless folks, on these conferences, and everyone's sick of the fighting. Crypto Twitter is not a
representation, right?
Yeah, it's not a realistic representation of what everyone really thinks. It's the algorithm around Twitter is just so baked into creating anger and division, and it elevates these controversial topics and angry people. But you get those angry people into a room and face to face,
actually people are trying to listen. But I know, like, I'll share personally from my side. I mean, now people are going to like it. I'm not really a big fan of BTC just because, and also the idea of the Lightning Network too.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty dumb. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, to me, it's a glorified liquidity pool in many sense. But if you really want a second layer, either go through PayPal or the real second layer is Ethereum, wrapped in Bitcoin. So, but try to have that conversation, like adversarial argument, but in a friendly manner, So but I know some people are not going to change their minds, but at least it's not like anger and stuff. But even talking to guys BSV, some people are here, so I did tell them, I'm a supporter of Bitcoin Cash, but I also now starting to like BSV. I have friends with eCash too, so I understand. Like, I know it's not easy seeing all the messages on Twitter, but when you meet people face to face, I think you're right. I think it's totally different energy, and I think
there's
some people
risk of getting punched in the face too, right? If you're rude, you might offend someone so much that you're gonna get hit in the mouth.
So
I think that, like, in real life conversations, I mean, even what we're doing here on Riverside here, just chatting, it's better than Twitter. You get that long form, you get a little bit of the emotional, I don't know, what do you call it? like physical communication style of just okay, he's uncomfortable talking about this. Oh, he's angry about this. It's like Twitter is just this one. It's a very limited medium for communication, and I think the algorithm is really built to just grind people's gears because it gets a reaction and it gets them to come back and it gets them to gets that dopamine hit. That
I think it's just all about monetizing attention, right? And I think that's what gives Twitter or any other platform value, right? So they have to create this some sort of
for me, it's like for the crypto communities, like we all have a lot more in common than we have in stark opposition of one another. It's like we all want this vision of decentralization. We all want this vision of utility. It's just the means to getting there and the speed at which we get there. And I guess, solving that blockchain trilemma of like security versus decentralization versus utility versus like getting
scalability,
getting that mass adoption, but at what cost, right? You go into someone in the Bitcoin camp, they'll say, it's decentralized first, man. We got to keep the fee market high. The nodes, everyone's got to run a node, but then you talk to someone in a different camp, they'll say it's got to be low fee at the sacrifice of a little bit of decentralization. Let's, we're willing to put it into some bigger data centers because we accept that, but it's still decentralized enough to still be useful. And I think you get these people in real life talking to one another. They'll tend to find some common ground. They might disagree but they'll disagree politely. They're not waving pitchforks at each other like it sometimes feels like on some of these social mediums, social media platforms.
No, thank you for sharing that. I think because very few people remember the hash wars and stuff or whatever.
I don't know.
But I think I know some people have lost some friends and split. Unnecessarily.
I think that right. You see these communities just splinter off, and you get people that take these they draw a line in the sand. They say you join their team, we'll never talk again. Well, you're dead to me, And I think that's maybe the gut reaction after a little bit of a fight, but I think there's. It's fine to disagree. It's fine to disagree passionately. It's fine to even temporarily say, F that guy. He's a jerk. What an idiot. But I think a good sign of maturity is just being able to be like, okay, we disagreed at that point, but being able to, walk a mile in their shoes, try to see it from their perspective. Okay. They've got their version of reality. That's fine. But what else do we have in common? Where can we rebuild some of these relationships? And I think for me, that's what I'd love to see is just more of those communities coming together to kind of work together to solve some of these onboarding issues, to make it easier for new folks coming in, to make it easier for interoperability between chains. Because frankly, none of these communities are just going to be like, you know what? You guys are right. We're shutting down our blockchain. Don't worry, you guys were right. We're over. We're gonna pack it up and go home.
It's not gonna happen.
Right?
Not happen. Yeah,
dude. Everyone's in. They're dug in. They're entrenched in their camps, and
the sunk cost is too high, right?
Yeah, that sunk cost fallacy. But arguably, it's good. You kind of want them to continue to experiment on their own path. It's great. We've got another experiment in the run. That's it's occurring right now. And we can study it over the next 10, 20, 15, 50 years, whatever it is. And figure out, did it work? Was it useful? Did it solve the problem they were trying to solve? And I think it's just a matter of kind of, connecting dots and not having big fights. I think the fighting days of crypto need to end. It's just maybe a little kumbaya moments. I think COVID probably was a big detriment in building more inroads between people. The inability for people to just connect face to face and have those real talks, But so I'd say if anyone's feeling disenfranchised, within their own community, or just kind of seeing that being a maximalist of any coin, in my opinion, is the dumbest thing you could do. There's just so many exciting things going on in the crypto space. And by being a maximalist of anything, you are cutting off your nose to spite your face in some ways. You're reducing your input of new knowledge because you're saying, I only believe in this, and all of that other stuff is stupid or scams or BS or not as technically cool as what we're doing here. But it's actually all pretty cool. And you got to kind of keep a pretty open mind. My gut reaction with NFTs at first was like, I don't see it. Sounds dumb. Just a bunch of JPEGs. Stupid. And I think for a lot of people, there was this visceral reaction of NFTs are stupid. They're never going to be a thing. They're the dumbest things in the world. And then the more you start playing with them, the more you use them, you build your own, you kind of play around. It's like, there is something here. Yeah. Maybe it's not what the boom, of like, it's going to change the world immediately. Yeah. But there's a grain of truth, or a grain of excitement that's been created around the NFTs that is not going away, be it through the future of ticketing, the future of community growth, the future of just, maybe it's metaverse, maybe it's game skins, maybe it's, private community access, maybe it's more than just profile pictures, or maybe that's all it is, but profile pictures are still fun too. So, I mean, like, the free market's going to kind of figure that all out, and people are going to continue to experiment, and they should be encouraged to experiment, and you should be encouraged to participate in some of those experiments, rather than just kind of, being so closed-minded that you're like, it's dumb. It's dumb. I hate it. I'm never touching it. I'm ignoring it. And then suddenly you're like, you're one of the laggards, you're the one having to be like, okay, so where do I store my NFTs? And everyone's like, oh my God, he doesn't even know where to store his NFTs. This guy is so old now, You don't want to ever be in a position where you're kind of like the last one in, True.
Man, true. But I do hope that, I think personally for me, I'm like, last time we connected in Dubai, right? I think one of the questions or thoughts I share with you is, maybe someone else, like, do you think maybe in the future we could see some sort of unity, say, with Bitcoin Cash, BSV, eCash, maybe some Monero people?
All the UTXO chains kind of coming together?
Something like that, or not, in some form, but at least maybe in some form or fashion. It doesn't have to be like, hey, we all like morph into one, but maybe in solidarity or work together in some way, like.
I think, yes, I think there is a future where that could happen. I would say that there's a lot of egos in Bitcoin, and I think there's even more egos in Bitcoin than there is in like the EVM side. I think it's because like Bitcoin and like let's say the Bitcoin ethos, very much attracts like a libertarian minded people, and they're a little bit more, maybe stubborn is the right word. I don't know.
I know some libertarians can be a little bit stubborn.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, maybe uncompromising is I don't know if it's something like that. Which is fine, but I think, in order for something like that to happen, I think it would require, I don't know, some new protocol that maybe allows them all to, communicate through interoperability better, or, I think like there's something that needs to be built, and it needs to be solving a problem, and not just like, it can't just be like an engineer's plaything, because it's like, I think that's what often ends up happening, is like, it's like an engineer's curiosity. I want to build this thing because I'm curious about it. And then they end up, raising money and funds and wasting, or maybe, arguably spending money on this like idea, but is it solving a problem? I think if there's a shared problem that all of those, say, UTXO based chains need solving, be that maybe bridging, be that, that would be my gut reaction, would be like, bridging between chains safely, securely, not only to the UTXO chains, but to other chains as well.
Yeah.
Perhaps that could be a opportunity for different protocol developers to, say, bury the hatchet. But maybe that's wishful thinking too. I don't know. But I would say that the hopeless romantic in me would be like, that'd be cool. I think it'd be interesting if there was a path where, all of those different camps off of the, Bitcoin, and then the splintering of like different communities and groups, were somehow able to come together to like work together to solve a problem. I mean, and in some ways you already see that, right? Like, I think the protocol developers in many ways, they'll responsibly disclose security issues, let's say, between their respective chains. We've seen that with, folks in Bitcoin Cash. There was some security issues introduced in a patch on BTC that could have been exploited, and
the inflation bug, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
It was responsibly disclosed when it could have been sold to the highest bidder and attacked. But it's kind of like there is this like, I don't want to say honor amongst thieves, but it's like honor amongst core developers, or honor amongst platform devs, where it's like, if I think a lot of them just realize like everyone's human, bugs are, it's just part of nature at this point. It's like, they're going to happen, and they're going to happen to you at some point. So you would hope that if you responsibly disclose one, you would also maybe have that reciprocated in the future, in the event that, you goofed up, or, put in a period when you should have put in a semicolon or something like that, Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. I think there's a lot of goodwill among people. And I do remember the Bitcoin Cash developer, he found that bug. I think, because I know that could have been pretty detrimental to
it would have.
BTC.
I think that developer was also probably thinking strategically. It's like, well, if Bitcoin goes down, we all go down, right?
Yeah.
We can't, like, there is kind of there is sort of a security in this group of different coins and different chains and different, like, they're all sort of in it together. In many ways, I would say they're more in it together from like the lens of, let's keep Bitcoin alive, because right now it is the number one, chain by market cap, let's say. And if the number one goes down, everything goes down with it, right? Everything's kind of traded against the BTC value. So, I suspect there was some game theory being thought there of like, okay, even if we did exploit it or paid someone else to exploit it, what would the end result be? It would be negative publicity for everyone, right? It would be a negative. It'd be a very big bruise that the entire industry has to wear, and it's not going to make adoption easier. It's not going to onboard more people when they're hearing, I don't know, some CNN host say, "Big exploit in the world of Bitcoin." It's like,
good old CNN.
Mom's not joining Bitcoin now because she's heard some hackers are going to get her stuff, and she's like, I don't know, sounds more dangerous. So I think, you kind of need to be thinking about all these angles when you're dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah. True. Yeah, man. I'm glad. No, I'm glad that at least there are a lot of good people in this space, who really want to make a difference. But Corbin, I think we gotta go. But
we did over an hour. That was good.
I know, right? Crazy, yeah. But Corbin, you know what? I was thinking maybe after the token 2050, 2049, I was wondering maybe we could do some sort of like an AMA session here on xt.com.
Yeah, let's do it. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's any folks that are interested in participating in the Verse token sale, it is live now. It launched on November 1st. It'll be running for 30 days, or until the goal of 0.0024 USD per verse is hit. You can go to getverse.com to read more about the token, to sign up. You do have to pass KYC in order to purchase. There's a minimum purchase of about $500. We accept Bitcoin, Ethereum,
Cash.
Cash, USDC on ETH, and USDT on ETH. Yeah, all the details are there. We've got some blog posts as well over at blog.bitcoin.com, which discuss the emission schedule. Yeah, lots of fun details there. If you're a token geek, go check it out. Of course, it's going to be available on the Bitcoin.com's DEX over at verse.bitcoin.com. It'll be available shortly after the token generation event. So we're estimating that'll occur in December. So you should start seeing Verse tokens in the wild come December. Currently, we're just in the token sale portion. So there is no Verse out there at the moment. That is the Bitcoin.com's Verse. So right now the sale goes until the end of the month, and then we'll begin the emission contract, which is when people will begin to be able to start claiming their tokens and putting them on the DEX and using them for different areas across the Bitcoin.com ecosystem. So, but yeah, I'd love to do an AMA and chat to the XT team and share some more insights on what we're doing at Bitcoin.com. Yeah.
Oh, sure. That we can make it happen, and definitely I will share the info and the description, all that stuff below.
Awesome.
Anyway, so but anyways, Corbin, hey, thanks for joining us here at the XT Cast, the official podcast of XT.com. So, but don't hit the leave button. But anyways, people, we gotta go. We got big things to do. So y'all be good. Y'all be safe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
See you guys.